intricate arguments. While it's widely considered one of the single greatest works in the history of philosophy, it still fuels constant debate as scholars struggle with the nuances of Kant's writing. And that's fitting, for it's hard to imagine we'll ever fully know what it means to know. I'm Andy Boyd at the University of Houston, where we're interested in the way inventive minds work.
A transcript of this Engines of Our Ingenuity episode, number 2717, is online at uh.edu/engines. Additional episodes are available by podcast.
Continuing our coverage of the election coming up in November, Jim Crowley is running for Aztec City Commission representing District 5, but of course voters in Aztec will vote for kind of at-large candidates. But he's joining me here in Studio A this morning. Mr. Crowley, good morning and welcome back to KSJE.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
You bet. Good to have you here. You are running for City Commission, as I mentioned, representing District 5. Most recently, though, you were on the County Commission, correct?
That's correct.
A lot of folks remember you from that job.
I was in office from 2017 to 2020, and
gotcha.
It's a good time.
Now you're running for City Commission. So why did you decide to throw your hat in the ring this time around?
Well, there's a couple things. First one is I find people who feel like they're not being represented by the majority of the commission. And so there is a push for a cultural change among three of the current members of the commission, and this is not something our people want. We need to address some things. Among them is Aztec is seen as not business friendly, and we need to be working on economic development. Not that they aren't already doing some things, but there's more that we can be doing. And among those is part of my own personal place working with Four Corners Economic Development.
Right.
And then the EDD, which is the economic division in the state. There are grants that we're missing, and we could have been doing and should be doing some stuff, but we have limited personnel. So we need to be partnering with people like Four Corners Economic Development, as well as the county. And that's not the current climate in the commission as a whole to partner with San Juan County at all, unfortunately. So I wanted to bring some levity back to where we are. I've served 2 previous terms as a city commissioner. This was a time when we got a lot of things done. We got the plan for the arterial. We got Tiger Park and the reservoir completed there. We got a revamping of downtown Main Street and our medians upgraded, looking nice. We got street lights that look nice. We saw a lot of change. We saw the beginnings of what ended up being our splash park. We got bathrooms in our parks, which were not there. And so we moved forward. We got a bridge across from Riverside Park to Hartman Park. We got the road down into Hartman Park and the parking lot paved. So we have projects, and they're kind of sitting stagnant in some ways in the city of Aztec, and we need leadership that says, this is important, let's move forward with it. So as I look at some things, I want to move us in a direction that we can work together and not pass things that cause division, try to find things that we can work together that benefit all of our citizens.
Understood. Can you talk about some of the things that you feel maybe caused division in the city that were passed?
It's anti-oil and gas. It's pro-red flag amendments. When I was a county commission, I brought forth a resolution supporting Second Amendment. The sheriff came and he made a presentation about it. He said he provided all the data that we needed, and we had 673 people register that day. They were all the way down the hall at our county commission meeting.
Right, big outpouring of public support.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. A handful that weren't.
Sure.
10, maybe 15.
Yes. Noted. And so with that being said, there are some things that you mentioned about that other candidates have mentioned too. The arterial project, of course, is I think folks are hoping that gets completed in the next 4 years. Is that something that you'd like to see finally come to pass, since you were there at the beginning?
As we looked at that as a project to try to slow the heavy truck traffic down off of Main Street, and I questioned it back then, how effective will it be? And they brought studies that said it would be effective. They talked to the trucking companies who also agreed it would be beneficial for them too. We got our ducks in a row. The state reneged on some of their, I guess it was maybe environmental study requirements. We had to go back and do that again. It's been done, it's been completed, and we're at a place that if we don't spend this money and get the bid out, we will lose this money. It's been reappropriated. First it was appropriated. Senator Neville and I talked about this even in the last 2 weeks. If we don't get this taken care of, that money will probably get clawed back by the state.
So you'd be in favor of this moving it forward if you get elected, right?
Yes.
Is that the idea? Very good. My guest this morning, Jim Crowley, is here. He is running for Aztec City Commission in District 5, and we're talking a little bit about his plans for Aztec. The arterial is one. Another big project that has been talked about here is the North Main Extension Project, and let me know your thoughts about that. Could that help economic development?
You know, if we can create something unique, yes. There's some snags that have come to the surface in recent days, where there was an agreement and then there was a disagreement with a property owner, and so the city trying to work with them, and it's like, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. I think it's workable. What I envisioned back when we looked at this 10, 12, 13 years ago was even ponds where there was fishing, because such a high water table, and building on that doesn't bother me. They do that in Louisiana all over the place, high water table, and so you can do that. We can't do it with the kind of building processes that we typically use here. They use pilings, and
It'll go a little deeper, maybe, is what you're talking about, right?
They ram these things into the ground.
Got you. But it can be done.
It can be done.
And so you feel it's a good investment of city resources for economic development, I guess is my question?
I don't know how well it would pay us back, but we need to do something and move forward. I haven't looked at the full scale, what actually is on the drawing board since when we first envisioned it. It was originally coming back out to the west and would join Highway 516 where Blake Slaughterburger was. And so I don't know if it's a turnaround at the end now or if it actually does that.
Got you. And the latest plans that I've seen, I think it's a kind of a turnaround at the end of just a straight north extension. But
yeah,
I could be wrong too, and I'm not running for anything. So
where we have is the lack of flat land in Aztec to do anything. So we don't develop well. We begin to go head south, and then once you top the crest toward Bloomfield, it begins to flatten out. But then you're in Bloomfield city limits, so we don't have lots of places. And even the arterial has up and down that'll have to be dealt with.
Right. Understood. Talk to me a little bit about some of the other things that you would like to see happen if you're elected to the city commission. You mentioned working more with the county. Is there some things maybe that in Four Corners Economic Development, are there some things that those agencies can help with the city of Aztec? A lot of folks would say, but there's no money, or not a lot of extra money, we should say, maybe to pay for some of these things that are maybe needed in communities like Aztec.
So Four Corners Economic Development has spent a lot of money putting together a website. And the website, I know that Arvin's been in here and talked to you about that. But what it does is it assists people who are site selectors when they're looking for a site. We cannot operate as a standalone entity outside of our state, because outside of our county, because we have a regional workforce, we have ties within the region, and we need to work with that. And Aztec has begun that process. Stephen Saavedra has jumped in great. it's been very beneficial, and we need to continue moving forward with that, because when you've got 3 people in an office, you can't cover everything.
Right. Using that resource, though, as a way to make it appear like you've got more people working on this project, perhaps.
Well, it brings the information that people who are looking need. We can't gather it all. So
Right.
if you go to the City of Aztec website, great website, shows us a lot, but it doesn't show you the demographics. It doesn't show you the kinds of things that you, as a site selector, need to know. You know, what's the traffic count? What is the, in the aforesaid website, you have each city, Farmington, Aztec, Bloomfield, the county. You've got, when you pull down Aztec, you can look at the school districts, and it'll tell you stuff about that, as well as give you a link to the district website itself. But if you pull up most websites right now, the first thing on the page is what to do about COVID. Well, a site selector is not concerned about where to locate and what's my workforce, and how do we interface with the community to get us employment, to get us building, and what kind of traffic counts are we have.
Understood. Very good. Mr. Crowley, we're about out of time this morning, but before we go, if folks want to find out more about you and your campaign and what you stand for, and how can they get in touch with you?
They can call me, 505-320-2115.
Okay, that's the best way?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm on Facebook.
We can track you down there, too.
They can track me down there, too.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay.
Jim Crowley, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you.